mental health. Why is it important, and why are drivers suffering with it so much? Let's look into this into a bit more detail. Did you know in the UK that Snap cited an increase, the Snap charity cited an increase in 25% of mental health issues with HGV drivers and suicide issues due to loneliness, long hours on the road and an unsociable life. 25% higher than the previous year based on these statistics. I personally think this is shocking. So I just want to show you very quickly some statistics on Google. Here we go. So I just did a little bit of research on Google on under mental health statistics for lorry drivers. Anxiety, 14.5% of truck drivers experience anxiety, 26.9% of truck drivers experience depression, 27.9% loneliness, sleep disturbances to over 20%, suicide rate 20% higher suicide rate than the national average. This is concerning, and I think this is something we really need to focus on as an industry when it comes to mental health. So what are the main problems that's causing this issue? Well, let's face it, with the national average going up by 20 to 25%, a lot of drivers in the UK do suffer from loneliness, long hours on the road, like I mentioned before, which creates a lot of isolation within your week. You sleep in your cab if you're a tramper, so you're confined to a small space, if you like. You can feel like towards the end of the week, from personal experience, that you're being slightly suffocated, if you like. But if you work for a company that allow you to get home through the week, if you're local, if your work is local, it certainly does help the driver when it comes to their mental health and their lifestyle. But we'll come on to that another time. Now, I do personally believe, now being obviously a lorry driver for over 2.5 years now, or 2.5 years, coming up to 2.5 years, I certainly have learned a lot in such a short space of time, and a lot of people will certainly look at this video and most certainly have something to say about me just being a driver for 2.5 years, and will certainly comment below that what do I know about the industry. But let me just flip that for a second. In a short space of 2.5 years, you can certainly learn a very lot on the road, especially when you're sleeping in your lorry and you're doing general haulage. Now, I have to say, I personally have experienced firsthand the negatives, shall we say, of your mental health and how that can impact you as a driver and your sort of well-being overall. I'm going to let you in with a little story very quickly before we can come on to this a bit further. Now, last year, sort of summertime last year, I won't go into great detail, but I'll give you an outline of what happened to me. And last year, I was actually collecting a load out of Nuneaton in the West Midlands, or Birmingham, sort of Midlands sort of way. I was coming down the A444, if you like, back towards the M6 motorway. And all of a sudden, I got myself a coffee. Well, I had a coffee not long before that. I only had one coffee that morning. There was nothing wrong with me. I felt absolutely fine. I had about 8 hours sleep, 8 hours sleep the night before. So I got a decent sleep in the truck. There was no major issues with me whatsoever. And I felt absolutely fine. But I did start to get some sort of heart palpitations as I'm driving in slow traffic towards the M6 motorway. At that point, I started thinking to myself, doesn't seem right. I don't seem too right within myself. Now, I was on the phone to another driver at the time. He could see something weren't right with me either. Anyway, finished my phone call with him. Another driver then rung me, who was actually working for the same company as me at the time. He said to me on the phone, "You don't sound yourself, Billy." So then I started to worry a little bit more, thinking, okay, there's two drivers I've spoken to in such a short space of time. What's going on here? I could feel myself, my heart palpitations happening. I could feel my stress levels really increasing as well. It probably didn't help the fact that I've got two drivers looking out for me, really. But maybe it worried me a little bit more, got me a little bit worked up, if you like, and that probably didn't help the scenario. But that week, I was towards the end of the week, long hours. I did have a couple of couple of nights lack of sleep as well, which didn't help whatsoever either. Fast forwarding slightly, I got onto the M6, see how I feel. I had to pull over the interchange for the A14, the M6, which slips off to the A14, or carries on, slips off to the M1, or M1 motorway, or straight on down the A14 towards the M11. I just parked up on the left-hand side. I didn't feel right. I started feeling a little bit lightheaded and stuff like that. Pulled over, happy days. The driver said to me, I was on the phone to you, better pull over. Don't drive anymore. You don't sound right, blah, blah, blah. I told him I don't feel too good. Pull over. Anyway, at this point, I come off the phone to him. He said, just stay there for a little while, see how you feel. Blah, 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 blah. I then had a massive breakdown. I had a massive breakdown on the motorway. I had a panic attack. I was starting to get very emotional. I didn't know why this was happening. Subconsciously, I must have been extremely stressed without even realising that I'm actually stressed. These long hours, the very sort of loneliness on the road all week, the lack of rest, maybe the lack of food that week I was probably having, and the lack of social activity that I'm having that week really caused me, it was a build-up of sequences that caused me to have a mini breakdown, if you like, on the motorway. And luckily enough, thankfully, that I actually pulled over onto the hard shoulder and then it kicked in. I wouldn't want that kicking in whilst I'm actually on the motorway behind the wheel with a 44-ton Arctic. So everything was fine, there were no issues. I identified within myself that I wasn't feeling right. I'm going to pull over when it's safe to do so. I did that. Anyway, I got a phone call from the office about 20 minutes later. My good friend did call the office and said, you better ring him. There's something not right with Billy. He's had to pull over. Just give him a call, see if he's okay. I'm a little bit worried about him. Office rang me, spoke about a few things, and the office said to me, go and park up. If you're not fit to drive, park up, forget about the load, we'll rebook it for tomorrow, get yourself some sleep, go and rest, forget about everything. Anyway, I parked up at 1:30 in the afternoon that afternoon, had some great rest, had a shower. The next day, I actually drove back to the yard. I took two further days off, I took the whole weekend off as well. I came back on a Monday and had a good rest. I felt better the following week. So why am I actually telling you this? Well, the reason why I'm telling you this is because I've personally experienced firsthand the levels of stress that a HGV driver is under on the road. I've personally been through it myself. I've had to seek some help. I've had to seek some medical help. I've had to take time out from the job to look after myself, because no matter how tough you think you are as a human being, the bottom line is we are only human beings. That's all we are. We're not robots, we're not machines, we're humans. Whether you're in the police force, the fire service, the military. Now I've got a military background. We all think we're bigger than we actually are, but subconsciously your stress levels, when you're working long hours in these lorries, you're working long hours regardless of what job you've got, does eventually get to you. And you've got to really identify why it's happening. But what I want to go into now is basically show you a recent video that I actually posted on my channel regarding driver shortage. And the reasons why I do personally believe, the 3 reasons why I believe there's a massive driver shortage in the United Kingdom in the HGV trucking industry. Now, this has created some conversation. This has created real debate on the channel and below the comments as well. And that's the reason why I actually did this video, to raise awareness, but to also seek why people are feeling the way they are as drivers, if you like. So I'm going to outline some comments now and show you on the channel under the video that I recently posted some comments that people have put down, and the one word that really comes to me is frustration. Frustration is the one that really pops out for me. Drivers that are in the industry, not in the industry, left the industry, etc., etc. And it's really important we sort of identify this, because if we don't, it's just something that's a dark problem that's swept underneath the carpet within the industry. And unless we talk about it and raise awareness as drivers and how we're feeling, then nothing's ever going to get done about it. And I don't speak on behalf of me, I speak on behalf of every driver. So let's take a look at the comments. Here's one comment here recently. This was posted 1 hour ago on the channel. 25 years HGV driver, 15 of them were class 1. What you spoke about is absolutely true and will never change. I've spoken about the same things on my channel some years ago. I've been out of HGV driving now 14 months and it's been the best time of my life. I can't wait for the industry to collapse and watch the country fall as everybody panic buys. I got so irritated with being treated like you know what? Everywhere you went, and it didn't matter which company you worked for, where you delivered, they are all the same. My CV looked shocking due to the job changing, trying to look for a better job, better work-life balance, and it carried on going on. There's another one here. It's nice to see a driver fairly new to the industry telling the truth. Most come in believing what industry bosses have told them, and it usually takes them a good 3 to 5 years to finally accept what all it was all BS. So that's just, you know, telling you, you know, a couple of genuine people on the channel, and the list goes on with comments. The list really truly goes on with comments on the channel under this video, and I can reel down as far as you want me to, but there is hundreds upon hundreds of comments on there, which we're not going to dive into today because it would take all day. So what I want to do is I really want to just rewind slightly and touch on the reasons why lorry drivers, HGV drivers, whether you're a day driver, a night driver, a 7.5 ton driver, you're a tramper, it doesn't matter. You may be a lorry driver in America, you may be a lorry driver in Australia, Northern Ireland, whatever. It doesn't matter where you are globally. We're all in the same boat as truckers, as drivers. But this video is mainly based on UK trucking, if you like. But I'm going to outline an example of what I personally feel like a service station and a rest stop. Now, the reason why we suffer, and a lot of drivers, I do believe, from speaking to other drivers as well, the reason why a lot of them suffer with mental health issues over time, subconsciously, without even realising that you have got a mental health problem at this particular time, and you have to seek advice, seek some help, speak to loved ones, because a lot of drivers, especially continental drivers as well, a lot of drivers don't really have family to maybe turn to, don't really have loved ones to have a chat with. So they're the ones that really suffer the most. Now, I see myself as quite fortunate that I've got a wife and a daughter who I have a joke and a laugh with from day to day. I talk to other drivers on the road, which is an outlet for me as well about the industry. It's not all positive talk, but we have a laugh and a joke as well. And you feel like you've got that communication with the outside world, even though, you know, it's your loved ones at home or another lorry driver, you've got some form of communication. But there are a lot of drivers out there that have no communication with anyone at all, apart from themselves. So you do suffer with isolation, which then leads on to anxiety. When it comes to speaking to someone, you get anxiety builds up, your blood pressure builds up as well, which effectively keeps you quite closed. You'll notice a lot of lorry drivers out there are very closed individuals because they don't speak to anyone. They're isolated every single day and night. You're on your own all week, sleeping in a lorry as well. So what is the solution around this? I'm going to show you a great solution that I think a truck stop, like I said, is going the right way, and that's Stop 24 Folkestone Services. You've probably stayed there before yourselves. This is a great example of what the industry, the Road Haulage Association, for example, or the head of transport, road haulage, and logistics should be looking into this and following this example for HGV drivers, because we wouldn't have a shortage so much if this problem was resolved within mental health on the roads. And a solution to drivers having less of a problem with mental health is creating more of a social environment for drivers. Some drivers won't want a social environment, don't care about it. But there is a lot of us out there that do care about having that social environment, including myself. It certainly helps me, and I think it will certainly help hundreds of thousands of other drivers out there. This certainly will be a great idea to tackle the driver shortage, because you'll keep hold of your drivers. Drivers will stay with their companies long term because they're happier, they're healthier, they've got more of a social environment to rest and relax in. And I'm going to show you that right now. Truck stop 24 Folkestone services, or service station, not a truck stop. HGV parking. I was here actually last week. Now, I didn't record purely because I didn't have my cameras with me at that particular time. But if I did, and the next time I'm down there, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to show you the facilities in this place. They're fantastic. It's recently been refurbished, in fact, and they've actually just opened some new showers. They've got new facilities in there. Everything a driver needs, shall we say. The HGV, I think it's the HGV lounge they call it. Now, there's no specific pictures that have been uploaded inside the lounge yet because it isn't open, but this is the start of, I do believe, something positive to come within the industry, and I think everyone needs to follow this example. You've got a HGV, it's not HGV upgrade, if you like, to facilities. So you've got a gym in there, you've got a rest lounge, if you like, as well. Let's see if we can just visit this, these images. You've got a rest lounge just here as well. It looks like this with TVs. If we just go back slightly, you've got TV area here. So lovely, comfortable chairs, if you like, and you've got a sort of social area where you can charge your computers and stuff if you wish, and have a bit more of a chat. Now, there is a bit more to this place as well. I haven't personally been inside it firsthand, but I certainly will go in there, have a look, and I'll be doing a video on this very separate, because I think it's a great example of, I do think that if a lot can follow their footsteps and create an environment for drivers to come away from their lorries, sit somewhere and relax, have the option to socialise if you want with other drivers. How's your day? How's your day? My day's been a bit up and down. Oh yeah, where have you been today? I've just come back from Italy actually. Oh right, where have you been? I've been up north in Yorkshire, heading back down to Dover, blah, blah. You know, it's an example, but you get where I'm coming from with it. Having a gaming room to really just let your mind come away from lorry driving. Having a relaxing area to get away from the steering wheel, because when you're isolated in your truck 24/7, 5 days, 6 days a week, it's not a good place to be. And this is the direction I think is one solution to really bringing down mental health within drivers. Because if this is something if the industry can push and focus on, it certainly is going to help a lot of drivers long term and really look after mental health issues. And that's the reason why I wanted to touch on that example, who are leading the way when it comes to a great example of rest areas for drivers. Let's summarise what we spoke about and end this on a positive. And hopefully the message will get across eventually and things will start changing in the future. Because all we can do is try. So to summarise, mental health, one thing I've noticed since I've been working in... So to summarise, since I've been a driver myself in the industry, the whole idea of my channel is to raise awareness, to show you the everyday good, bad, the ugly, if you like, within trucking itself, from my personal experience. But along my journey as a driver, I start to get a little bit passionate about other topics. Mental health being one I think is really important, because you speak to other drivers and you walk away from a conversation with a driver and you tend to feel guilty or a little bit helpless because you can't help an individual. You want to help an individual because a conversation can go a long way with someone who's not in a good place. So this is why I've gone this direction, recorded this video as well, to raise awareness on an issue that I do believe is a big issue within the industry itself. This isn't to discourage or encourage drivers not to become drivers, for young drivers not to become HGV drivers. It's nothing about that at all. But the bottom line is, it's important that before you go for your HGV licence, before you become a lorry driver, before you can become a tramper or continental driver, you understand the struggles, the pitfalls, and are fully aware of what to expect coming into this industry. Because I was very blind to it myself. But 2.5 years down the line, I certainly understand what I've let myself in for. It's not all bad. This is a fantastic industry to be in, a very rewarding job to be in, a very well paid job, if you put the hours in, of course, and pay is maybe a topic for another day maybe. But pay, yes, it can be improved massively. But overall, if you like your own company, you know, you like driving lorries, you like driving big machines, you've got a passion for lorries, you've got a passion for being on the open road and not having a boss screaming at you in your ears, left, right, and centre, on site or in an office, on a desk in an office. You're a sales professional, have you hit your targets, blah, 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 blah. If you want the life of being your own boss to a degree, you've always got a boss, but unless you have your own company, of course, but being your own boss on the open road, then it's the perfect job for you. So what I want to say here is, to summarise, we need to raise awareness when it comes to mental health for HGV drivers. The more we do that, the better health people are going to be in, the happier we're going to be in. We'll have a decrease in driver shortages because we've got happier drivers. There's more drivers working within the industry, companies will thrive, the industry will thrive, and everyone's a winner. So apart from that, thanks for watching, have a great day, I'll see you on the next one.